the City of New Britain. Building hope together for a greater community.
You can continue to sign up. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 25th, 2017 public participation section of the regular meeting of the New Britain Common Council. We have a large audience today, and welcome, and thank you for coming out. We appreciate government involvement that way. It's very important. Please keep in mind that if you have not signed up, please attempt to do so. And please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Obviously, we can be here for a pretty long time if a whole number of people do speak. So I will definitely be very tight on the 3 minutes once you're up there. So hopefully you can economize your terms. We'll wait momentarily and we'll get the list. We'll officially open at 7:01 p.m. Also, please remember that you do speak to clearly speak your name and your address for the record. Yeah, we just want to get it rolling today. So obviously, if you have not signed or people come in late, we certainly will acknowledge them throughout the public participation process. And I will apologize ahead of time if I don't pronounce the names properly based on script or my own eyesight. The first person to speak for public participation, Richard Reyes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Richard Reyes. I live in 508 Slater Road here in New Britain. I'm currently on the Board of Finance and Taxation. However, I'm here tonight as a member of the New Britain Latino Coalition. On that organization, I'm currently the chairman for the 65th Infantry Borinqueniers Monument. And I'm just here tonight to give thanks to all of the aldermen that have been involved, particularly Willie Pabon and Manny Sanchez, the others that are mentioned here, also Representative Bobby Sanchez. This has been in the making probably over 5 years, and I just want to say thanks also to the mayor for giving the authorization to move it forward. Hopefully in this summer we'll have a beautiful monument up representing these fine soldiers who are all heroes and deserve that more than ever. And I just want to again say thank you very much.
Thank you. Carmelo Rodriguez.
Good evening. Carmelo Rodriguez, 1254 Slater Road, and as chairman of New Britain Latino Coalition, I'm here also to echo some of the words that Richard Reyes said, giving special thanks also to our aldermen Manny Sanchez, Christian Rosado, Willie Pavon, also the rest of the council that have been here, our alcaldesa, our mayor, Aaron Stewart, for the support we had gotten with this monument. Like I said, it's been a few years and the ball is rolling now. The urgency behind this is because many, or the few of the veterans are in the 80s and 90s, and we just lost another one recently. So there's an urgency to get this done, and we really appreciate the steps that you guys have taken in supporting and helping us to make this happen, especially, like I said, from the mayor to the council, to State Representative Robert Sanchez at the Capitol, Eric Barberi at Park and Rec, the commission, the Veterans Commission. So we are very grateful on this. This movement is going forward. So once again, this is going to be something that's going to be at the national level. We're getting ready to bring from the governor of Puerto Rico, people from D.C. Everybody's anxious for this to get done. And it's going to get done in this wonderful city, the city of New Britain. So we're going to have the privilege to have the first monument representing these great heroes. And like I said, we only have a few alive. So let's continue working together and make this happen. Once again, thank you for you guys for helping us out with this.
Thank you. Cynthia Ortiz.
Hello. Good evening. I'm here supporting Violet Jimenez Sims, her candidacy for the Board
Excuse
of
me, could I have your address, please?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
228 Kelsey Street. So again, I'm here in support of my friend and someone who I would consider a professional colleague as well, of her candidacy for the Board of Education Democratic vacancy. Violet, I just want to talk about a few points about why I feel she's the most qualified candidate for this position. Besides being a product of New Haven, I'm sorry, I work in New Haven, that's probably why that came to mind right now, of New Britain Public Schools. She also grew up in New Britain Public Schools, and she also has chosen to send her daughters, her two young daughters here, to school in New Britain schools. That being said, she taught for 7 years at New Britain High School. And she continuously gives back to her community in a number of ways. She keeps contact with teachers here in New Britain and also students. And because of her contact, she was able to charter the Altrusa Service Organization, which she was able to raise money and get a grant through her leadership in this organization to allow for middle school boys and girls to practice, train, and play in the Hardware City soccer team. Another important point that I want to make right now about why she's the best candidate for this role, she's currently pursuing her doctoral degree in educational leadership training. She has learned, and I know this from personal experience because I recently earned my leadership degree as well, and I've been an educator for the past 10 years as a school counselor. And I know what is imperative and crucial for a person in her role to be able to have background and experience and knowledge. And what she learned has been educational law, collective bargaining, grant writing, school finance and budgeting, amongst other topics that I'm very familiar with myself. And once again, I just want to say that I hope that we can strongly consider her candidacy for this role, because in what I know, based on facts, and also how I know her as a person, and being an educator and a strong supporter of public education in New Britain, as a product of New Britain Public Schools as well myself, and being raised in this city and lived in this city for 22 years, I know that Violet has what it takes.
Thank you. Sandra Jimenez.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Sandra Jimenez. I live at 339 Chestnut Street in New Britain, and no, Violet and I are not related. First, I would like to thank Alderman Jamie Giantonio. I'd like to thank Alderman Daniel Salerno, and I'd like to thank Alderman Jim Sanders Jr. for responding to my email. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'd like to say I was going to read, but I've known Violet for the past 4 years. I know Violet through Altrusa, the organization that I am proud to be a member of. She was a past president and continues to help the current president and each president, vice president, just everyone along in our organization and throughout. With that being said, Violet was nominated by the Democratic Party to sit on the Board of Education. I was overwhelmed to hear that. I have a child, but she does not attend school here. And for I attended school here, she just ended up doing something else. But Violet has taught my children, my oldest. She taught her, she's taught friends of mine, their children. And through her education, her people skills, just being Violet. She has taught and continues to teach children in New Britain, in Manchester, how to become all that you can be. Her education itself, she is a 3-time UConn graduate, now pursuing her doctorate degree. And that being said, makes her a qualified candidate. We should learn from the presidency. There was no boundaries. We have someone who you question their qualifications. And I hope that doesn't happen here, because I think being qualified, you know what to do and what a child and a student needs. And I think, with that being said, Violet is the proper candidate. Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan Benitez.
Hello, I'm Jordan Benitez, 64 Collins Street. I am a 7th grade student at Slade Middle School. I am also the Slade Student Council Vice President and a student ambassador for the district. Being that I hold these roles at my school and in the district, I thought it was important that you heard from me about who should be appointed the Board of Education seat that was left vacant with the recent passing of Judy Greco, who is a lifelong educator and my mother's principal at St. Thomas Aquinas High School a long time ago. I know Ms. Sims personally for several years. I think she is a really nice person. I'm really impressed with how she and Mr. Sims have raised her children, Deanna and Andrea, to be smart, caring, and fun people. We all get along very well. My older brother had Miss Sims for a high school Spanish teacher, and he really enjoyed her class and learned a lot. He speaks Spanish very well, and as a result of having a really good teacher in Miss Sims. I think Miss Sims has what it takes to be an effective Board of Education member, and I think you should vote to appoint her to the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you. Annette Velez.
Hello and good evening. My name is Annette Velez, 91 Putnam Street in New Britain. My condolences to the Greco family. And Jordan, that was awesome. I'm a little nervous, so I'm just going to read this really quickly. I am writing for and on behalf of Mrs. Sims. I need reading glasses in front of me. When my daughter was in 9th grade, Spanish class at New Britain High School in 2008, I later reconnected with Mrs. Sims through school events, and we became friends. I have a lot of admiration for Mrs. Sims, a Dominican woman who has excelled in her field of education with great passion, as well as leadership skills, ready to go above and beyond to provide the best for her students. You can look up her credentials on that. She is a resident of New Britain and has also worked in the New Britain high schools, or maybe other schools as well, which makes me feel very comfortable and sure that she will do her very best for all the children in New Britain schools, including her 2 young daughters that are New Britain school students. Her knowledge, commitment, and passion to go above what is required and needed to ensure that all students are the priority, are treated equal, and are fair, and are provided all the necessary tools to be great students who excel. She has been an advocate for public education and has participated in numerous events, marches, dialogues, and such to ensure the best for all students alike. She is young and full of energy and ideas, ready to do all that is needed and necessary for all New Britain students. I am for certain that with her educational background, degrees, and experience, passion and love, that she is the best candidate for this position. As a tax-paying citizen of New Britain, Mrs. Sims has my vote, and I encourage you all to give Mrs. Sims the opportunity to do what she is passionate about and allow her a seat with you all for the better of our students and all of New Britain schools. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure of the first name. I have a Santiago. I'm not sure if it's Marta or... Maida. Sorry about that. You saw my handwriting, you'd understand. Mine's far worse.
Hello. Good evening. I'm Mayra Santiago, and I live at 772 Ellis Street in New Britain. I'm here to support Violet Jimenez Sims for the Democratic seat on the Board of Education. Don't mind me, I'm a little nervous. I'm not good at public speaking. Being on the Board of Education, to me, being a Board of Education member is one of the most important jobs in the local government. The children are our future, and it is important that all children are given a quality education. It is important that people appointed to the board have a vested interest in the children and families, as I do think Violet Jimenez has. I think it's important that we select a young board member that has children in the New Britain public schools. I would rather have a board member be young with children in the school system because it gives me support that he or she is looking out for other families with children through the first-hand experiences in the school system as a parent. Violet is young. She connects well with students. Her resume speaks for itself. She is a product of the New Britain schools. We should be honored to have such a qualified, young, energetic woman represent families, students, teachers, and the community on the Board of Education. With that being said, I hope you approach this decision in a fair and unbiased manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Dawn Brooks.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Brooks, 551 Shuttle Meadow Avenue. I am here this evening also to support Violet Jimenez Sims for Board of Education seat. Confident, ambitious, generous, loyal, and encouraging are some of many of the adjectives that I can use to describe Violet, who is an amazing person. We've heard many things about her resume, her qualifications. She's a phenomenal educator. She's passionate about children, about teaching, about learning. She is an advocate for many, many different groups. She represents the multi-perspective that we need to have here sitting on this board. Violet can take a 24-hour day and manage it to go to work with students, to run errands, to attend university. She at the University of Bridgeport as a doctoral student. She spends time with her family. She brings together friends. She's a natural-born leader that can do amazing things in the community. Violet is an activist, and she does the work needed to advocate on behalf of students, parents, and teachers. You will see her give testimony at various legislative hearings that relate to education. You will see her at various educational conferences that she attends on her own time, using her own resources. You will see her fighting the good fight on the front lines, not in the background. Violet is a person who is not afraid to roll up her sleeves and get the work done. I urge you to appoint her to the New Britain Board of Education, and I hope we can make this decision fairly. Thank you.
Thank you. Ronald Perry Davis.
Good evening. My name is Ronald Perry Davis. I'm 280 Brittany Farms Road. I came here with excitement on today because I was going to stand here before the Common Council and as members to talk about someone from the city of New Britain that is young, smart, beautiful, have children, doing some great things in our community as far as community engagement with Altruzo, with a women's group. She's with the NAACP on our education committee. And you know, to hear that she was going to accept a nomination from the Democratic Talent Committee to be considered for the board seat in replacement of Ms. Greco, I thought it was the grandest thing, and I was so excited. And I haven't been as excited for a long time, and I know that democracy works. I know it works. Violet is a smart person. Violet is a person, as the young lady spoke earlier, who rolls up her sleeves and does the work that has to be done to meet the goals that she has in terms of working towards whatever goal she's working toward. She is an education person, as you know, from all what the people have been saying. Her education shows it. A young lady working on her doctoral degree as she's working full-time, driving all the way to Bridgeport for studies, coming back, attending meetings with the NAACP as the education co-chair, fighting for public education and showing the difference of public education, charter schools, and magnet schools, and how money is being taken from our community to funnel into other school programs. When Violet said yes to it, New Britain, we have to open our eyes and say yes to her. She's young, she got longevity, she has time to be there for a long time. She represents everybody, not just Hispanics, not just blacks, not just whites, but everybody. She's proven that, and we love her at the NAACP. We know that she would stand for the values of the New Britain NAACP in terms of education. We do not have the support that we had before. We had Sharon Saavedra, Bologna Saavedra, that we worked with for many years. Sharon is no longer there, so we have to regroup ourselves. And to have a person like Violet there, I know, and our community knows, that everything will be okay. I urge you to consider, look at it, do the right thing, and you know, let's live together. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Keith Albert.
Good evening. My name is Brian Keith Albert. I reside at 227 Jubilee Street, and I thank you all for the opportunity to come here to speak. I'm here also on behalf of Violet, but I'm going to come from a different angle because Ronnie said all my stuff. What it boils down to is I really like Violet because she's able to get people who don't normally speak to each other to speak to each other. And if she's not doing that, she knows how to present an issue to you so that it clicks in your mind, opens your heart up with passion, and then directs you to where you need to go. In speaking with Violet, there was the issue with the school system in relation to the holding cells. I knew that we could not even have that discussion unless we had, you know, people with the Board of Education who were there who would be willing to listen and tell you what you could do and tell you if you couldn't do anything. It was through Violet, Aggie, and Reese Harvey that got me to recognize that one issue, and that was just one. That one issue that told me that all I needed to do was go and speak with that lady, Sharon Bologna Saavedra. And both sides were not talking, but that's the way the dynamics were set up. But we ended up talking where the issue was looked at for the first time, and that would have not have happened if it wasn't for the initiative of Violet and her two friends, but the main cooperation of Sharon Bologna Saavedra, who, as we all know, was inspired by Ms. Greco, and I'm not using that loosely. Matter of fact, Violet on another issue, I got so excited I forgot what one it was. Really, there's many. But let me give you the example of how, like, when she's run for some things and she didn't get elected, she didn't quit. She still fought for the issue. That's what we need in this city. We need people, if they don't get elected, and we all know she should be elected in this position, if they don't get elected, they do not quit, because the fight continues whether you win or lose. And the bottom line is, the best example I've seen of her is when we went down to the Yale campus around there, and it was for the NAACP state conference. And the main issue was education. And the national NAACP voted to put a hold on these magnet schools and charter schools. And I have nothing against them except one thing. They take public money. We have it hard enough in this town already where we cannot afford to lose money. Violet spoke in front of these people and told her why we need to take a look at how the charter schools and magnet schools get their students. You folks may not know this, and all of the schools do not do this, but there's cherry picking going on. They go and get a hold of the names of the people who are doing wonderful work, students, and probably teachers too. Anyway, she should be elected.
Thank you, sir. Amelia Skane, or Skane? Skane.
Good evening. My name is Amelia Skeen. I reside at 50 Oneida Street in New Britain. I wanted to say that I wrote to several of you, and I wanted to acknowledge and thank Mr. Giantonio and Mr. Sanders, who responded to me. I'm here to urge you to appoint the Democratic Town Committee endorsed candidate Violet Jimenez Sims to fill the vacancy left behind by Mrs. Greco in the New Britain Board of Education. Mrs. Greco was a beloved, upstanding member of this community who devoted her life to improving our New Britain public schools. I believe that she would want her legacy of commitment, inclusion, and advocacy to continue. I do not know anyone more suited to fill Mrs. Greco's role than Violet Jimenez Sims. Mrs. Sims is deeply committed to public education and an inspired visionary for New Britain. Mrs. Sims is a New Britain native, educated through the very school system her young daughters now attend, to which she seeks to devote her many talents, her educational expertise, and passionate advocacy. As a parent with children in our school district, Mrs. Sims has intimate knowledge of the strategies parents might utilize to overcome the deficits in our district to ensure that our children can access what they need to grow and thrive. As an educator and bilingual woman of color, Mrs. Sims brings an understanding on how to build a framework for culturally responsive teaching through which children are motivated to learn in an atmosphere of respect and partnership because their differences are valued, their voices are heard, and they are given agency over their own learning process. She recognizes in each and every child the limitless possibilities of their capacity and the brilliance of their brains. We need to have her unique voice and perspective on the New Britain Board of Education because each and every child in our district deserves to be heard, valued, and challenged to learn in respectful partnership. As a philanthropist, Mrs. Sims secured grant funding for the Harvard City soccer team to enable New Britain youth to participate in a summer soccer program. She secured almost 100 books that were distributed to our children during the Puerto Rican Festival. She collaborated with other organizations like Pathway Senderos to offer summer programs to New Britain youth and worked tirelessly to ensure that some of our most marginalized and disadvantaged children return to school with backpacks and ample school supplies. It is this very attention to the needs of our children, creating safe spaces for their bodies to be active and healthy, finding resources for their hungry minds, and eliminating the social stigma of poverty that make Mrs. Sims the ideal candidate for the New Britain Board of Education. I'm respectfully urging you to not delay appointing Mrs. Sims to the New Britain Board of Education. Our families and children are counting on you, and our future demands it.
Thank you. Rona Cohen.
Of course, I have to follow Emmy. My name is Rona Cohen. I reside at 25 South High Street, and I'm also here in support of Violet. She has a zest for life and a warm spirit. She has the ability to lift up people's emotions and provide encouragement when times are rough. Her enthusiasm attracts people. Look at this room filled with her supporters. It is very difficult not to like Violet. She's balanced, she's diplomatic, she's realistic, which is important for the school board, and she has an amazing ability to get along with people, with all people. Violet is able to use her mind to solve the most difficult problems and takes the initiative in solving various complicated situations. And I have a daughter in the school system in Advance in the first grade, and I'm very concerned about her education. I'm very concerned about the New Britain school system as a whole. And there are some complicated situations and problems that need great leaders at the Board of Ed level to resolve them, to lift the schools up, to lift every single child up. And I feel like Violet is the best person for the job, because she went through these school systems, and she is, she is so qualified. So please be fair in this decision-making process and consider what our community is going to gain from having such a relevant, dedicated, and determined woman serve this city.
Thank you. Bill Shortell.
Bill Shortell, is this on?
Yes, it is.
Bill Shortell, 947 West Main Street. I'm also the chair of the Democratic Party. It's clear to me, from knowing Violet and listening to her supporters, that it's inevitable that Violet Sims is at some point going to be on the Board of Education in New Britain. It's going to happen. It's also easy for me, being a political rat, to get bitter, but I'm going to avoid that because this has been such an uplifting experience, listening to people testify about this wonderful woman. I don't think there's anybody in the whole city that could better serve us on the Board of Education than Violet Sims. And you all have the opportunity here to make a little bipartisan history. I think we know the rules, that when there's a vacancy, the party that, the town committee of the party that the person who made the vacancy was in, gets to put forward a name. Now, and everybody knows that you can put in any Democrat you want. But I'm going to just promise you one thing. In cases like this, where bipartisanship is demanded, I promise you that no matter how this turns out, in the future, if we are in the same situation, that we, as a Democratic, I will do everything I can to make sure that the Democratic Party picks the best Republican that is put forward, and that we won't use petty politics. And you have an opportunity here to do the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin Sharp.
Good evening. Robin Sharp, I'm the director of the YWCA here in New Britain, and I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of Mallory Dupree.
You have to have your address, Ms. Sharp.
Do you want my home address or the YWCA address?
Home address.
200 Ox Yoke Drive in Weathersfield. So I don't live in New Britain. I have, however, worked in this city for over 20 years. The director of the YWCA, and I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of Mallory Dupree and her consideration for the Board of Education. I've known Mallory for 7 years in her capacity with the YWCA. Mallory started her career as a preschool teacher and quickly showed her knowledge, her skill, and her ability to get things done. She progressed in her career path to her current position of director of our school-age programs. Mallory always has a very positive approach to any situation or challenge. She's always able to find a win-win. She is not one to complain or act in anger. Rather, she will work to find a solution and make sure things are done the right way. Mallory works with the children in the New Britain school system every single day, both in the schools and in the after-school program. You'll find her to be extremely collaborative, and she is frequently turned to by other agencies in the community, including the school system, to help with the most at-risk kids. Our Summer C program is now a national model to combat summer learning loss. That was one of Mallory's programs. She was one of the very first ones to do that. You can always count on Mallory for an honest answer and a true reflection, even if it's a difficult one. You can trust that no matter what conversation and debate happens internally, Mallory will always present a united and supportive message. something you need to be able to count on from any board member. It's Mallory's mission to develop the young leaders of our community. It's important for the future of our community to keep our young professionals like Mallory involved and engaged in how the city works. You've heard from our Girls in Our Strive program and our Teen Center how much those programs, and especially their contact with Mallory, has changed their lives. I know this is a wonderful opportunity for you to keep some young professionals involved, and I know that you'll be glad that you did if you chose Mallory.
Thank you. Alexandria Braithwaite.
Good evening. My name is Alexandra Brathwaite, and I reside at 56 Cottage Place. I'm here in support of Violet Sims. Like I mentioned, I'm a New Britain resident. I have 2 children that attend New Britain schools. My daughter, who is now in the 10th grade, actually transferred into New Britain district from the West Hartford district when she was in the 7th grade. And just a quick personal story, during her transition process, she would express her frustration as to her material being repetitive, that she already learned the material, and whatnot. We met with the school, we met with the school, and we expressed some of those frustrations, yet much didn't change. Education was very important to us in our household. Therefore, I chose to hire a private tutor at that point. But not every parent has the means to afford a private tutor. This is why we need individuals like Violet so she can fight for our children. She's passionate and she's driven. Violet was a student in this district. She's a parent of 2 young girls who attend school in this district. She was an educator in this district for 7 years. Therefore, she has experienced these issues firsthand. She can empathize with the students, being a past student. She can empathize with the parents having 2 young children in the school system. She can empathize with the educators, being a past educator in this district. So I'm confident that Violet would succeed in this role that the board has vacant. And like someone else mentioned, Violet is a fighter. She has no issue getting in there and working on these issues. So I ask that you guys vote, make a fair vote.
Thank you. John Zipadelli.
Good evening, John Zipadelli, 1474 Stanley Street. Thank you for letting us speak. I'm here on behalf of Violet, and I would like you guys to know that, or at least take into consideration the sentiment you hear today, the overwhelming support that she has. Not to take anything away from the other speaker who spoke on behalf of Mallory. She sounds like a wonderful person, but I think we need to look at the audience, listen to what they have to say. She's very active in the NAACP. And youth is something that's very important to me too. Before I was in real estate, I was a social worker in Waterbury for over 8 years, and I worked with LD kids. And our kids in the school system, they need a powerful advocate to make sure that to quote a academic researcher, some segments of our population hoard certain resources, and sometimes our kids get overlooked, especially in cities like New Britain, where certain segments of the population are hoarding the AP classes and whatnot. So I would like you guys to again, please listen to the audience, and really maybe even listen to the young man who spoke, 7th grader. I mean, that's pretty amazing that he came out and spoke. I'll tell you, when I was in 7th grade, I had to give a speech at McGee Middle School in front of the whole school. The next day, I actually had to call out of school the next day. That's how stressed, that's how anxiety, how much, even for a young man like that to speak in front of all these people, this is pretty intimidating. So, you know, if we could listen to him. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Aggie Kurzina.
Aggie Kurzina, 64 Collins Street. First, I'd like to thank Aldermans Giantonio, Salerno, and Sanders for responding to the emails that I sent you. Thank you very much for extending that courtesy. Very much appreciate it. What I want to talk about, because everything about Violet's already been talked about, so that's what happens when you go last. You have to come up with your own off-the-cuff something. So I want to talk to the democratic process because it's in action right now. So let's give ourselves a hand. I'm just saying, right? That's undeniable right now, what you're witnessing, what you're seeing, them emails that you got, right? That's undeniable. Impressive almost, right? Not of any one person, but of a community that came together with one voice to let you know how they felt. So shout out to the community for coming together. Because we called and you came. And I hope everyone here recognizes that. Thank you, and I hope you take into consideration what you're witnessing today.
Thank you. Wilma Barbosa.
Good evening, all. I stand here in support of Violet Sims.
Could you have your address? I'm sorry.
It's Wilma Barbosa, 58 Santo Court. I'm a little nervous and excited. I was going to read a letter, but after listening to everyone speak and being a product of New Britain and having children come here to New Britain to attend school and having a granddaughter who might possibly not attend New Britain schools if we don't get this together, because I have seen nothing since I graduated in 1986, nothing but nothing go down. I know Mallory. Mallory was part of the after-school program when my daughter attended when she was in elementary school, and that's how far they made it, because then I took them out of the school system in New Britain. But I come to know Violet, what she stands for and what she fights for. This is not about me. This is not about you. This is about our children and our community and the education that we now stand. The next 4 years can be very scary if we don't put the right people in position. We've already messed up with the one that the president has assigned. We don't want to screw it up in New Britain. New Britain needs to stand up, we need to speak out, and we need to support and put in place the right people. Not favoritism, and not who we think we like. No, we need to put the right people in the right places and get this together for once and for all. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Vargas.
Hi, everyone. Eric Vargas, 2195 Corbin Ave. First off, I just want to say, I've never been to one of these meetings. I don't like coming to these meetings. I don't want to be involved. However, when I heard that there might be some pushback on the appointment of Violet Jimenez Sims as the to fill in one of the Board of Education seats, I said I had to come out, right? Now, I can't speak to I can't speak to her education. I wasn't there with her in class. I don't know, man. I can't speak to many things, but what I can speak to is that I know Violet through her championing bilingual education. That is the future of the United States, people. I know her through, it is, right? I know her through the CONCAT program. Her picture was on the little brochure when I was in the program, and I am a product of that program. And thankfully, that started me on the path to get my bachelor's in music, and I'm on to my master's in counseling, right? Violet's face, Violet's name has been there the whole time. And the other thing I want to point out is, regardless of Republican, Democrat, right? She's from New Britain. She's from New Britain. And I think that whatever quarrels we have in New Britain, whatever issues, political, what have you, at least have it be from people that were raised here and that actually know the community, actually know the parents, actually know the children. Please. So I am here advocating for the appointment of Violet Jimenez Sims, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Violet Sims.
Those are a bunch of tough acts to follow. Good evening. I'm Violet Jimenez Sims. I reside at 77 Adams Street in New Britain. And I also have to thank Alderman D'Antonio for getting back to my email as well today. Thank you very much for having that courtesy. I'm not going to go over my entire resume and qualifications. Not only did I email all of you with a lot of that information, after attending last Thursday's Democratic Town Committee meeting and learning that the late Judy Greco's seat was being filled so very quickly. I accepted the Democratic Town Committee's gracious nomination because I think it's important to step up to the plate when my community asks me to. Some of you know me, well, a lot of you know me. You've seen me at things like the Puerto Rican Festival. You've seen me at NAACP meetings. You've seen me at many community events. I know you've received numerous emails in support of my candidacy, and I know that you see and hear all these people here supporting me as well. They've said more than I ever could, and I'm humbled by their words and the trust that they're putting in me by asking me to be an important voice for our children and families. So I'm mainly here to add that I'm not here for myself. I'm not here for me, frankly and respectfully. I'm not personal friends with the mayor. I'm not personal friends with people from coalitions. I'm not personal friends with any of you, not for any necessary reasons. But I'm also not here because I want to catapult into higher office or anything of the sort. I'm here for the people of New Britain, for all these people that you've seen and heard here today, and many, many others who couldn't make it, but have extended their support to me. As you know, I worked in the New Britain School District for 7 years. I've been an educator for about 15 years at UConn, a small amount of time at CCSU, at New Britain High School, and now at Manchester High School. Leaving my position as a teacher in the New Britain School District was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. However, it opened up the possibility to me serving on the Board of Education, something someone employed with the district cannot do. I didn't just teach in New Britain. I made lifelong connections with people that still stay in touch with me. Many former students still reach out to me for everything from career advice to how to soothe a fussy baby. I kid you not. I get emails and messages about everything. The fact that they still regard me as a friend and advisor shows that they felt my genuine care for each of them. For many, I'm a role model that looks like them, that grew up in similar conditions, and can relate to and validate many of their experiences. Thus, I left the New Britain School District with an impeccable professional reputation. You know, you need Board of Ed members that are agile, connected, and most importantly, represent this community. If you're representatives of this community, I hope that you use council decorum as well as your moral compass to make the right decision today. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Sims. That ends the number of the people who have actually signed up. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Yes, Mr.
Ram Mylon, 194 Stratford Road, former board member for 6 years. I wanted to add another perspective, a little historical. When I joined the board 2007, one of the members that I really appreciate was Pat Coyle. Any of you remember? No, Pat Coyle, a Republican member and appointed to the Board of Education, and a retired teacher from New Britain. And it was so good to have a former teacher from New Britain to provide our perspective that none of us, I believe, had. So Pat Coyle was until she stepped down from the Board of Education, was provided a very helpful point of view from former teachers from the district. And I think Violet will bring the same kind. Now, yes, we do have Eileen Zatola, but she brings very valuable as well as a former administrator, probably a teacher before that, but from a long time ago. But I think that having, whether Republican or Democrat, having the point of view of a former teacher from New Britain helps in make better decisions. And finally, I couldn't help by mention Jim Sanders, Sr., may he rest in peace, that sat near me, and even though you couldn't think of two people with very different agendas and very different politics than me and Jim Sanders, we became friends, one of the closest friends on the board. And I believe that Violet has that capacity to form friendships with Republicans across the board. If me and Jim Sanders can do it, Violet can do it too. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak before the council?
Sharon Beloin Saavedra, member of the Board of Ed, 125 Kenwood Drive. I actually didn't come prepared to speak this evening, and I haven't spoken of Judy Greco since I gave her eulogy last week. But since her name has been used in this process, I'm going to honor her by coming here and speaking on her behalf. Judy has not endorsed any candidate to take her place, obviously. You can't fill Judy's shoes. She's a legacy here in New Britain. She gave everything that she had and more to the children of New Britain. And I think this council has to honor her regardless of politics. I think the only thing that separates Violet and Mallory are the political shenanigans that take place. Both of these women are qualified to be on the Board of Education. This is not a battle of resumes. So although Mallory doesn't have a troop of people here this evening, that's not to say she couldn't. So I'm here to say that I oppose the use of Judy's name, as I read today on Facebook. I oppose people saying that they mourn her death and respect her when they didn't show up to her wake or funeral. I am personally injured by that, I have to tell you. I am a member of the board, and I am an outgoing member of the board. I am not going to run for re-election. And regardless of what happens tonight, both the Democrats and the Republicans are going to have 3 seats to put people up to run in the next election. So whomever of the 2 doesn't make it tonight will have the opportunity to run for election for the Board of Ed and most likely become elected. I personally am supporting Mallory. I've worked with Mallory. She represents the after-school programming. She represents the not-for-profit community. It's not about Mallory, whether she's a friend of the mayor's or not a friend of the mayor's. It's about what the board needs to fill out the complement of individuals that currently serve And we have teachers from other districts that serve on the board. We have retired administrators. We have parents. I myself, my children have come through the system. My son, who's special education, is in the Klein program right now, which is the 18 to 21-year-olds. So there are board members that bring a variety of perspectives to get the job done. It's very hard for me to be here because I do think that, unfortunately, in this town, no matter what happens, politics is always the dividing line. Things could be going great, and we're still going to find a way to throw mud at it because if it's somebody else's party, it's not going to be good enough. Mallory's not here as a political pawn. She's a Democrat who might be being put up by Republicans, but no less, she's a Democrat, and she deserves due consideration like any other name that would come before you this evening. So personally, I'm not speaking on behalf of the board. Personally, I've worked with Mallory. She was part of the All-American City journey that went to Denver and brought that back for the town. She's part of the coalition that works with a variety of not-for-profits to bring people together. So I would just say, one, please respect Judy Greco's memory and don't let anybody use it as a tool in your decision. Judy has no stake in this.
I have to have you wind up, Ms.
I'm going to wind up. You don't need the cane for me. Well, you might need it. That's true. But this is not about politics. This is about filling out the Board of Education and having a full complement.
I'm sorry. Can please not have any interruption, but could you please just tie it
Yep.
up? I really
So
want
that's
to be
all.
fair to
That's all I
everyone.
have to say.
Gave a few seconds
and I would
over.
hope at
It's been
some
very good.
point the City Council would take a moment of silence in Judy's memory. Judy was my best friend, and somebody mentioned the Greco family. I am Judy's family, and I'm here tonight as a representative of the Greco family. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I don't like to be able to put limitations on people. Obviously, gave a few minutes, a few seconds to everyone. That's all. It's certainly, I don't mean to be discourteous at all, but obviously we've done actually a tremendous job tonight for everyone here to be here. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Yes. And just raise your hand higher if I don't see it. I apologize.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ann Spire, 13 Audubon Street, New Britain. I'm here to endorse Violet Sims for the Board of Education position because about a year or so ago, I had reason to talk to a number of people who were interested in running for the Board of Education. Violet Sims impressed me very, very much. She knew about education deeply. I've been in education, for those of you who perhaps don't know, for my whole life. Taught in New Britain schools for 22 years, taught 30 years altogether, et cetera, raised a couple of kids, all that stuff. I've talked to a lot of people about education issues, and usually it's kind of surface. That was not the case with this person. Violet knows what she's talking about. She has studied it academically. She has lived it in her working skills. She's somebody who would do a very good job for New Britain schools. The fact is that she is from New Britain, that she knows New Britain kids, that she's taught in the high school, that she has kids in our schools. That matters a lot to me. A while back, I was kind of toying in my own little private brain about running for Board of Ed or not when I retired. And I decided, no, I wanted to leave it open because I really wanted somebody there who has kids in the schools, who has an incredible vested interest in as best a school system as we can run. I think Violet meets those standards. We don't often get somebody dropping in when we need them the way she is. This is a very well-qualified person. I know hers was not the first name given to some of you, but sometimes we need to take a little time to take a look and let people rise. And I think somebody has actually risen and will fill good shoes on the Board of Education. I hope that you will nominate her. The other thing which, having not looked at any of my little notes here, that I nearly forgot to mention is the fact that she speaks Spanish will be a boon to those parents who don't speak English or don't speak it well, who are scared to go to a board member, who are scared to speak to someone in authority. If they have to do it in a language that they can't even speak very well, they're not going to do it. I mean, that was my grandparents' situation. They didn't speak much English. it would be very helpful to have one more member of the Board of Ed who is bilingual English-Spanish. So I hope that you'll make some good decisions for the Board of Education for our kids tonight, and thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Hernandez, 310 Cedar Street in Newington. I'm here today to support Mallory Dupre, who is seeking appointment to New Britain Board of Ed. I came to New Britain with a passion to help CCSU grow campus community partnerships. In this role, I came to meet Mallory time and time again, seeing her bring her ideas, her enthusiasm, and her passion for expanding opportunities and initiatives that help our youth. Mallory has been instrumental in helping the campus community think outside the box and develop sustainable partnerships that expose youth to both post-secondary educations, but also thinking about life after graduation from high school. Perhaps Mallory may not be a traditional educator, and being in higher ed, we all know, at least at the higher ed level, we tend to have an inflated sense of self sometimes. But she is a teacher. She teaches youth who oftentimes are forgotten, youth who are considered to have too much baggage, to have too many issues, to really have an opportunity at life, and encourage them to think beyond their own expectations. She has helped our college think about ways that we can expand the way we see education and higher ed education. She has helped inspire many of us on the campus community to re-engage in the city and re-engage in the educational opportunities that are offered. And from my experience, I see the passion and enthusiasm that she brings, and I hope that you will give her the consideration that she's due. Thank you.
Thank you. We will get to everyone who raises their hands, by the way. We won't forget you.
Hi, guys. Justin Dorsey, 370 Worcester Street. Just here quickly on a different subject. I know at the end of public participation, the majority leader gives everybody, the alderpersons, the opportunity to address the audience. We do have our national champion cheerleaders here tonight, and it is getting late, so if it has to do pertaining to item number 5 on the agenda, I would just ask respectfully that you guys just wait until that discussion to bring that up. Again, you're free to do whatever you want, but it is getting late for these girls. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gail Connolly, 2200 Stanley Street, current board member. I'm only here to let you know that I would welcome either one, because I believe politics don't belong in education. But I also heard a lot of negative comments about education in New Britain, so I just wanted to put my name and number out there. Call me, come to a board meeting, I welcome you. I don't know very many of you, but just to let you know that we are here. We have open door, we have open communication in the before meetings, so come on out, and good luck to either candidate.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Nick Mercier, 32 Forest Street, New Britain. I'm also currently serving as board president of the Board of Education. I'm here tonight to speak in favor of Mallory Dupre being appointed to the vacancy left by the unfortunate passing of Judy Greco. That's not to say that Ms. Sims is not qualified for the role. I would love to have an opportunity to speak with Ms. Sims. Unfortunately, I've never heard from her. She's never reached out to myself or, to my knowledge, any of the other board members. Ms. Dupre, upon being considered, reached out to me, spoke with me, had questions, had things she wanted to know about the Board of Education. I had a chance to talk with her. I was impressed immediately by her passion for education, by her professionalism, by the congenial way she carried herself, and by her humbleness as well. She spoke about how much she has to learn and how much she'll need, she wants to grow into the role on the board.
Can I just interrupt? We got is the Nutmeg television on, by the way? There's been some kind of communication problem? Okay, all right, just checking. Thank you. Sorry. There might be. Just to check. That's all. I'm sorry, I apologize. I thought that I wanted everyone to have opportunity to be heard through the general public as well. There are a lot of people actually do watch the Nutmeg television.
Thank you. To continue, when the name of Mallory was first brought to my attention, one of the first things I did, you speak of bipartisanship, I reached out to the vice president of the board, Nicole Rodriguez, who is a registered Democrat, elected Democrat on the board. And her first words were, "That's excellent. She would be great." As I reached out to other members of the Board of Education, both on the Republican and the Democratic side, they had favorable things to say about Mallory, about her passion, about her education. I was a little upset at the comments of Mr. Sheftel, the DTC leader, saying that we're seeing democracy in action, but did the Democratic Town Committee even consider Ms. Dupre, who is a registered Democrat? Did they interview both candidates? From what I've been told by members of the Democratic Party, they did not. In fact, one person told me the only not that she is not qualified, no offense intended, but the reasoning for putting her name forward was, well, she wanted to run before. And this is the same Democratic Town Committee that when they had the choice of nominating her for the last election cycle, chose 3 different candidates. So the idea that this is just a democracy in action, it really isn't. It isn't. It's an appointment. It's a short-term appointment for a short period of time. And I don't like the level of political theater that's being conducted, and I'm afraid that were Violet Sims to be appointed, that some of this would spill over into the board, where we have a very fantastic bipartisan relationship between the Democrats and the Republicans. I mean, most people who come in wouldn't be able to tell party lines, and I'm hoping that we're able to preserve that as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I know it's tough. I please try to keep our time as close as we possibly can. Anyone else to speak? Miss anybody?
Good evening, council members. My name is Mallory Dupre. I live at 40 Simcoe Drive, and I am a lifelong resident of the city of New Britain. I'm here tonight to gain your trust in serving on the Board of Education. I have been on the ground working with New Britain youth for the past 17 years, developing and implementing programs that aim to benefit the youth socially and academically. I believe in preparing youth for life. Life meaning college or career ready. I've watched youth grow from leaders in training programs into qualified staff members. I devote every day to the idea that every child has a gift, and it is the job of educators from all angles to meet these kids where they are and build them to reach their full potential, educating the whole child. It takes a village to raise a child, and I am ready to make an impact on our youth from the next level. I am homegrown, as well as a product of the New Britain School District. I am an advocate for our city at local and state levels and national levels, serving on multiple committees. I understand what our youth and families are experiencing firsthand, and by looking out for their best interest at the policy level gives them a trusted individual to ensure that their needs are being met. I am well aware of the inequities in our community and our state, and want to ensure that all of our youth from the east side to the west side have the resources and supports that they need to be successful in whichever path they choose. I understand the financial situation of the city, and I am willing to research and find the best practices to allocate our resources that will benefit both the school district and our city. I thank you council members this evening for considering me to fill large shoes on the Board of Education. But I know that I possess passion for each and every student in our city, and I can promise you this: the youth is my focus. Their success is important not only to them, but to me as a leader and to the community as a whole. Because when we are old and at a retirement age, I want to ensure that our kids and our kids' kids have leaders and are leaders that are going to lead them in the right direction. Thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Anyone else in the audience would like to speak? More in the back? Yes, come on up.
Roy Rolando Centeno, 289 Slater Road, former councilman. Some things just never change. And as I said, I wasn't going to speak. I don't know neither of the candidates. From what I've heard, they're both excellent candidates. But it's like I said, I was saddened to hear, like I said, some of the last comments about how political this has turned. And I just wanted to express my sadness. I thought we've come further than this. I thought we've become bigger than this. Both parties. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak? I have to do this 3 times, I believe. Anyone else who would like to speak? Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Then we will close the session of the public participation at 8:12 p.m. I have comments by Mr. Dorsey in terms of the possibility of speaking now. We can hold until the end of the meeting if there are no disagreements with that. Mr. Carlozzi, Alderman Carlozzi.
Yes, I'm just going to take a few minutes in consideration of what Mr. Dorsey has asked for. But first, I do want to say I want to thank every single person that came out to speak tonight. Yes, this is a democratic process, and it's important that everyone express their opinions. I also want to thank both candidates for putting their names forward for consideration. I think the council has we're in a unique position to look at 2 very qualified people. We, however, can only pick one because there's only one vacancy. This item will be voted at the end. I think it's the last item on the agenda. So I would ask anyone that is interested to please stay through the end. And I don't think the council meeting should be that long tonight. Hopefully it's not. It could be. We don't know. Have a nice night. Thank you.
I want to thank you for stealing the thunder of the chair. I certainly would have loved the same thing, but I want to commend everyone for being out here. I really do. It's important that we have participation. Thank you for your time and staying to the time frame as well. So the meeting will be done shortly. Thank you.
All right. I would like to call to order this regular meeting of the New Britain Common Council. The date is January 25th, 2017. The time is 8:26 p.m. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Alderpersons Giantonio.
Here.
Smedley.
Present.
Carlozzi.
Here.
Black.
Present.
Collins.
Present.
Davis.
Here.
Hargraves.
Here.
Naples.
Here.
Pabon.
Here.
Polakowski.
Here.
Rosato.
Here.
Salvio.
Here.
Sanchez.
Here.
Sanders.
Present.
Salerno.
Here.
15 present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. Can we all please rise for the invocation?
Let us pray. O God, our Heavenly Father, we extend our thoughts to those who are less fortunate this evening, lacking shelter or love to keep them warm and protected. While we thank you for the mild winter, we ask for more of the warm, wet stuff to replenish our reservoirs. We pray for New Britain's youth, that they may develop a spirit of reverence and humility. Keep them pure in heart and spirit, and develop in them a desire to strive for excellence and become mature, responsible adults. We ask this in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing. I know we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment, but I just wanted to take a moment to have a moment of silence. I know it was talked about a lot during public participation, Judy Greco, and I think it's only right that we honor her and her service to the city and her many years of dedication to our children and to the future of you guys, to have a moment of silence to honor her because she unfortunately passed away last month. She was somebody that was very close with all of us, especially myself and Sharon. I know she's still here, a woman who helped me. She was my mentor when I was in New Britain High School, and it will be very tough to fill the shoes of a woman like Judy. So please, a moment of silence to remember her and pray for her. Thank you very much. And now to the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mary Lou Sanders. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Gotcha. You can sit now.
Yeah.
Before we get into a presentation from our friends that are here today, two things that I just want to mention very quickly. I would like to take a moment to wish Alderman Smedley a very happy birthday. As if you can't tell by how his desk is decorated. So happy birthday, Alderman Smedley.
I also got a tray of cupcakes
That's horrible.
and star glitter.
And I also want to acknowledge someone too. I don't think that he is here this evening, but I want to take a moment to recognize Dennis Pellegrino, who will be retiring from the city of New Britain after over 30, if not 40 years of service to the city as our facilities director. Dennis will be retiring as of next week, and we certainly want to thank him for his many, many years of service and helping us upkeep our facilities in pristine condition, and we want to wish him best in his retirement. So thank you, Dennis, for your service. And now I will scan the room and look for Barry Hertzler to come up, because we have we've talked a lot about how proud we are of our kids, and he's got a lot to say about the championships that have been won in the crowd tonight. So please, Barry.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Thank you. On behalf of PAL, the parents, the kids that participated in this year's cheerleading program, and also the coaches, we want to thank you for an invitation here tonight. I just want to say a couple things because I know we need to move the meeting along.
We're only moving it quickly because we know that they need to get to bed. So.
Every year around April or May, I stand in front of the council and I try to paint a realistic picture in 2 minutes of the phenomenal youth that our program has. And tonight, we don't need a picture. Our kids are here. The wonderful youth in New Britain. Our 3 cheerleading teams here not only succeed on the mat, we do have a Board of Ed topic tonight, and I want to share some accomplishments not only on the mat with the 3 national championships of going down to Florida, but also that none, not even the 3 teams, but all 7 cheerleading teams that we have in the PAL program, not one of the students has less than 80% average in school. So we as a program take a lot of pride in creating student athletes for our PAL program. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I'm sure we want pictures.
Well, we do, but wait, we also have to talk about what you're here for. So we've got our junior Pee-wee and our Pee-wee squads that are national champions,
Correct.
right? And our
Yes.
varsity, which was the national runner-up, and they're all
Correct.
represented here.
Yes.
That's why we brought them here, because we're so proud. But we got to hear what you got to.
For what?
Oh, we need cheers. You got a lot of people watching at home.
Coordinator Justin Mitchell must not have got my text that he needed to put a cheer together tonight. Did he? Can we wing it? Let's wing it.
No chance.
Come on.
Let's hear it for him.
You can do it. Come on.
We'll start with our junior Pee Wee national champions to take a picture. Come on up. Chief and members of our board.
You know she picture ready.
Yeah.
Your face in the picture.
Congratulations.
Save for the next ones.
Now we're going to call up members of our national champion Pee Wee team.
Hey, get out of the way, Dave. And our varsity level 4 runner-up team.
There's a five, there's a substitute. There's a substitute. Mallory's name. Oh, it's in a report.
Billy.
Thank you guys so much. We're so proud of you. Keep up the good work, and more importantly, keep doing good in school too. So we'll give you a few minutes so you can clear out the room because bedtime.
Good job, guys.
All right, we can keep going. Alderman Giantonio for the approval of the minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 9th, 2016.
Second.
November 9th, 2016, seconded by Alderman Salerno. Any questions, comments, or additions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Amendments.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have one amendment to the agenda. Make a motion to amend the agenda with a substitute number 5.
Second?
Seconded by Alderman Salerno.
Point of order.
Alderman Carlosi for a point of order.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like, through you, Your Honor, if I may ask a question to Alderman Gentonio. I have a resolution also concerning the matter on Resolution 5, and would like to ask, Your Honor, through you to Alderman Gentonio, why my resolution is not being added to the agenda.
As a point of order, you can direct questions to department heads. In the rules, it states, and Attorney Bizzaro can correct me if I'm wrong, I might be.
Your Honor, Alderman Gentonio is the one that is the final decision on what's presented in the agenda, therefore I'm asking him. Department heads don't.
Alderman Giantonio would like to answer that question?
Sure, Your Honor. Alderman Carlosi, as we discussed with Corporation Counsel Bizzaro, and Corporation Counsel Bizzaro, please correct me if I'm wrong. What you wanted to do this evening about adding a second agenda item for the same item is not permissible by our rules. Therefore, since we had 2 resolutions submitted with the same purpose with different names, I chose to put the one on the resolution that was submitted first.
Thank you, Your Honor. For the record, I'd like to have it stated that my resolution was submitted on Friday morning to our council administrator. In the afternoon, our council administrator sent out 2 Resolution 5s, both myself and the one submitted by Alderman Salerno. Alderman Gentonio then requested that the resolution that was submitted with our council package would be blank, and that we would have a conversation on Saturday. Alderman Gentonio obviously got busy and all that. We did talk on Monday. I made my case for why my resolution should be considered. He then told me he would speak to his caucus and get back to me. Things get in the way, and it was not, I did not hear back from Alderman Gentonio. This afternoon, at about 5:45, I did receive Substitute 5 resolution, which, and there was no additional consideration given to mine. As a courtesy, it has always been the practice of the council that an alderman can submit a resolution, and that resolution is not denied. It's a courtesy that is extended to aldermen. I think it's very unfortunate that tonight we do not have that going forward. I just wanted to put that in the record. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Honor.
Just as a point of order and clarification, you can also, because it is the same resolution with one line that is different, you're also welcome to make a motion to amend that on the floor when we do get to that point.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm fully aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
Your Honor,
Alderman Giantonio.
point of order, if I might just respond. Alderman Salerno also submitted a resolution. So either way, I would be denying one resolution from being on the agenda. So there was no very easy solution to this because neither person wanted to withdraw the resolution. So I went with the one that was submitted first, that I was aware of being submitted first. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on the Substitute 5 and the amendments to the agenda category? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Roll call requires 2/3 of a vote for this.
Alderpersons Giantonio.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Carlosi.
No.
Black.
No.
Collins.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Hargraves.
Yes.
Naples.
Yes.
Pabon.
Yes.
Polkowski.
Yes.
Rosado.
Yes.
Salvio.
Yes.
Sanchez.
No.
Sanders.
Yes.
Salerno.
Yes.
12-3, Your Honor.
Thank you. Motion, votes of 10 would be needed to require 2/3, so motion carries with the amendment to the agenda. Mr. Clerk, for petitions this
Yes,
evening.
we have 2, Your Honor. First one is from Alderman Giantonio. Please conduct a study to look at speeding and signage on Brookside Road. The area is becoming a cut-through, which is increasing traffic.
Thank you. We'll refer that to the Police Commission and to the Public Works Board.
Okay. And the second one is from Alderpersons Sanders and Naples. Please revise the city's drought response plan to clarify reporting requirements and make trigger level criteria consistent for all drought response stages.
Thank you. Before I refer this, I just want to say that our drought response plan is actually in the process of being updated this year as required by the state, so we are in the process of updating that entire plan right now. But regardless of that, I'll be sending that to the Board of Water Commissioners to address it as well, as they're already in the process of taking that up.
Okay. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you. onto the consent agenda with Alderman Giantonio.
Thank you, Your Honor. The only item I am aware of being asked off of consent is item B. Therefore, I make a motion to accept a consent agenda consisting of items A, C, D, and E.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Salerno. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Mr. Clerk?
Alderpersons Giantonio.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Carlozzi.
No.
Black.
No.
If we have a no vote
Okay,
on
then
the,
no. So,
so we need to go through each one individually. Cute. Okay, report A.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to accept Report A.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Polkowski. Any
This is an injury claim. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report B. Alderman Carlozzi, I believe, wanted this off.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept report number B.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Sanders.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I have a question on report B. We passed a resolution back in March of 2015, Your Honor, I believe, 33413, in which case the council stated, therefore be it resolved that the city of New Britain, based on the above information and by virtue of this resolution, hereby fully supports the Columbus Boulevard Safety Transport Phase 4 project. Tonight on report B, Your Honor, I'm just questioning why it's not actually in the form of a resolution, since there are actual expenditures. I mean, this is being put to us in the form of a purchase order of $3 million plus. So I'm just wondering why that's not actually in the resolution. Whoever can answer that in terms of the, I'm not questioning the expenses, just questioning the way it's being presented to us.
Director Moriarty, perhaps?
I mean, just similar to anything that we do a public bid on, it's just a report from the purchasing agent. This project was recently put out to bid for construction contractors. Low bid was accepted, made a recommendation to move forward with the low bid. And just like any other one that we've ever done like this, it's coming to you as a purchasing report.
Thank you, Mr. Moriarty. Your Honor, but in the resolution that we did back in March of 2015, we never actually authorized any contracts other than we stated our support. Again, we're spending $3,115,770. I truly believe that this should have been put forward to us, that we authorize you, Your Honor, to enter into a contract with more, I believe it's Morass Concrete Services for this project on Columbus Boulevard.
If I may,
Yes, Your Honor.
and I don't know if somebody perhaps can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this was also included in the streetscape bond. So the authorization to spend would have been included in the bonding package underneath that item. So if I am correct, and someone might correct me if I'm wrong, from what I would assume, as this money was in the bonding package, when you voted in support to approve that, it would have authorized us to issue, and this would have been the proper way to report that we are spending down the issue.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may, through you to Corporation Counsel, is our Corporation Counsel satisfied that this is in fact the proper, should it be in the form of a resolution, or is this, is this in proper form?
Alderman, it seems, I mean, this is the first time I'm looking at it, and it seems to me to be in proper form. I mean, everything that Director Moriarty just mentioned seems to make sense to me, so I'm not troubled by it at all.
So you're not troubled that we never actually authorized us entering into contracts, or just that we showed our support for it, but we never said to go forward with executing contracts?
Well, it's a report from the purchasing agent regarding a contract that would have been entered into, just like Director Moriarty said, in any other circumstance. So.
Thank you, sir. But Your Honor, through you again, I just want to make sure that we're not circumventing the process of.
Alderman, I don't see anything here. I'm not sure that I share the same concern. I mean, I don't. Again, this is the first time that I'm looking at it. Nobody called me about this tonight, so I haven't had a chance to go back and look at what the council did the last time. But on its face here, I don't see anything that's problematic about it.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm satisfied with the councilors.
Okay, I just want to add just one more thing too, is that, it on the back, it does list the
Yes.
bidders, so it is all good that we did pick the lowest bidder, so.
And Your Honor, we do get, many
Yes.
times, we do get purchase orders that show all these different bidders.
Yeah.
But the fact that the original resolution in March of 2015 did not have that language that I was looking for, was the reason why I'm bringing it up, and I want to make sure that we're doing everything proper. The counselor said that we are.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an issue with it, so.
And I'll be happy to go back and look at the bond issuance too, just to double check and make sure.
Thank you,
Because
Your Honor.
maybe
Thank
for
you,
the
Mr.
future.
Moriarty.
Thank you.
And thank you, Attorney Pizarro.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other questions? Alderman Polkowski?
Through you, Your Honor, just a point of clarification to Alderman Carlosi also. The project is $3.11 million, but the city is only on the hook for 10% of it. 90% of the project is funded federally. So the portion of the city, the portion of the cost that the city is actually owed is only $310,000. So just to make you a little more at ease.
Your Honor, if I may?
Yeah.
Thank you, Alderman Pukowski. Whether even $300,000 or $1, I just want to make sure that we had it in the proper format. And so since that language wasn't in the original resolution, it sort of raised my concern that I want to make sure we were doing it properly tonight. So whether it's $1 or $300,000, I would still have asked the same question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you both. Any other further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report C, Alderman Giantonio.
Your Honor, a motion to accept Report C.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Collins.
This is a purchase order with Vision Appraisal.
Any other questions or comments? It's under the professional services line item for technical support and maintenance for the assessor's software system. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, Alderman Giantonio.
Your Honor, motion to accept Report D.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Hargraves.
This has to do with copier lease from A&A office, and I urge approval.
Any questions or comments on that? Alderman Carlosi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just really quick, it's not the first time that I've asked, if we actually have a comprehensive idea, a summary report of how many copier leases we have in this building, in the school building, it just seems like this is something that keeps on going on. Do we have an inventory, Your Honor? I know I've asked for it many times in the past. Seems to, just not become a priority. But we've done a great job, Your Honor, in doing an inventory of our autos and all of our different vehicles that we have out there. I think our eyes would be wide open if we saw all the different leases that we have, the different rates that we pay, and maybe actually start thinking about, do we want to go back to, I see my good friend over here has probably an answer for it. But, if we could, maybe we might want to start, cutting back on some of these leases and maybe centralizing some, like one on each floor. I don't know. But I'd just be curious if we could get and I'm looking at our finance director. I'm not sure if it's in her trick of, if it's in something that she could put together for us. But if there's someone in City Hall, Your Honor, that is charged with that who could give us that information, it might help us as we go into our budget season. Thank you.
Certainly. Alderman Smedley looks like he wants to.
Thank you, Your Honor. Two points regarding what Alderman Carlosi questioned. The school district has a separate copier contract that is not related to the city with a different company that we also bid for. And I don't think I'd be out of place if I spoke about the fact that there is a plan to put together a bid spec that they're working on now to go to bid again for that copier contract because it is coming to the end. There are quite a few, couple hundred copy machines throughout the school district. And at the high school, for example, they are centralized to floors so that there isn't a copier in everybody's personal office. I don't know about City Hall on that, but we do that in the school district. Thank you very much.
I would just like to add that as a fantastic topic for the Blue Ribbon.
I was just going to say that.
Beat you to it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We'll make sure we put that on our agenda. Thank you very much. Any further questions or comments? Alderman Naples.
Through you to comment, Alderman Carlosi, I worked in another local government in California for 9 years, and one of the things we tried to do, I was in management, was to allow 2 copiers per floor. And it worked for about a month before everybody decided to throw that plan out because so much wasted time running back and forth, and you put a 100-page document in there and it has to wait for the queue while somebody else is standing next. It doesn't work, I can tell you that. Any savings you get in maintenance is going to be lost in employee time.
Or we could do everything on computers and iPads and go paperless. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Giantonio.
Your Honor, I make a motion to accept Report E.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Polkowski.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is the list of tax abatement corrections and refunds from the tax collector. I urge approval.
Thank you very much. This is a regular list that we usually get provided every so often. Any questions or comments on it? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. To the resolutions, we will go resolution number 1, which is Alderman Rosado this evening.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 1.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Pabon.
I'm so excited to introduce this. The purpose of this resolution, the State of Connecticut Bonding Committee had approved funding for a Buccaneers Monument on Washington Street in the amount of $300,000. This resolution is to authorize the mayor to execute all documentation between the State of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection and the City of New Britain to receive state bonding money for the construction of Buccaneers Monument in Washington Street in New Britain. Before I say anything else, I also want to thank Alderman Willie Pabon, Alderman Manny Sanchez, and all of those that are there representing the Latino Coalition, Carmelo Rodriguez, and I just want to urge adoption. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Would any other alderman like to speak? Alderman Sanchez.
Thank you, Your Honor. I, too, want to echo the same sentiments that Alderman Rosado said. Thank you to the two gentlemen in the back from the coalition who have been an instrumental part of this process, Alderman Pabon, Alderman Rosado. This is a big deal for our community. This is a big deal for our state, and I think it will definitely have an impact on us federally as well. So this is a big deal, and I hope everybody votes in support of it.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Carlosi.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm pleased that Alderman Rosado spoke about it, because Alderman Rosado was in the process. We know how resolutions come out. It's usually the liaisons to that particular committee or that particular department. In this case, it's the Park Department. But, Your Honor, I would ask that Alderman Rosado be added to this as a co-sponsor. Great. Alderman, you guys already took care of that? Awesome. So we have Alderman Rosado, Alderman Pabon, and Alderman Sanchez. I'm very happy about that. I also want to give kudos again to the Latino Coalition, to State Representative Bobby Sanchez, whose longtime work this would never see the light of day, and to the late Betty Bocas, who took the vote to bond this money against some pressure from some people who really didn't want to see the state bond money for this thing. So thank you, Betty. And to all those that supported it. So thank you, Your Honor. I'm glad those 3 individuals have their names on this.
Thank you very much. Alderman Salerno.
Yes, just thank you through your honor. Just a comment as well. We were always privileged to be able to sign on to any resolution that's presented to the council, and I certainly encourage all members of the council to be able to sign on to this and to assure that we have the support of this monument effort on the part of the Hispanic community, and we want to thank you for your efforts.
Thank you. Alderman Rosado for the second time.
One last thing I want to say about this, that I want to give credit to the Latino Coalition. Again, we want to give credit to State Representative Bobby Sanchez for his efforts. The Latino Coalition is a bipartisan group, and it is in the purest form. We have Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliateds that come together to advocate for the things that affect the Latino community. And I want this to be evidence that when you have a political action committee, whether it's the NAACP, et cetera, get away from the partisan politics and take in the opinions of Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliates and try to come together in one accord, because you'll actually get some things done. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. All right, this just needs a voice vote for the acceptance of the funds, and it's just creating the account so we can accept the money to come into the city to be able to start the process and start building. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2 is Alderman Salerno.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm going to, through Your Honor, I took this resolution. I accept to put a motion to accept and adopt. I just lost my screen on here for all the information. Second.
Seconded by Alderman Giantonio. The problem with here, this is always why you have a backup.
I'm good. I'm okay.
Oh, okay.
I got it in my head. That's a second on that.
We had it.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. This resolution is for a lead hazard program, which the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has submitted for $3.4 million. It's really just to set up the budget for it.
Yes.
We commend everyone who's been involved in the application process. It was approved, and this, of course, lead hazard program has been around in this community for decades, actually, and we always are able to get that money from housing at this point in time, and we hope we continue that in the future. And I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman. This program is extremely important to the families of our community who do live in very old homes that do have lead-based paint on them and on the windows, and for the health and safety of our children and families. We're very grateful, and our federal delegation was very instrumental in allowing us to receive this money today. Any other questions or comments on it? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Giantonio.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept resolution number 3 and refer it to the Subcommittee on Administration, Finance, and Law.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Davis.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a tax assessment modification agreement with Zenolith Partners for the property at 125 Columbus Boulevard, and I look forward to discussing this further in committee. Thank you.
Other questions or comments on the referral? All those in favor of the referral signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 4, Alderman Giantonio.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 4.
Seconded by Alderman Salvio. Alderman Sanders.
Thank you, Your Honor. There's a question on whether I should or should not recuse myself, but I'm going to choose to recuse myself on this resolution because it's my mom.
Goodbye. Please let the record reflect that Alderman Sanders has recused himself and has left the room. And we will. Ethics
Your
are a
Honor.
very important thing. Alderman Giantonio.
Thank you, Your Honor. This has to do with the appointment of Mary Lou Sanders to fill out the term on the Board of Assessment Appeals created by the passing of Thomas Schenck. I think this is a natural fit. Mary Lou may not agree, but I think I've heard her referred to previously as the queen of the Board of Assessment Appeals. I think that was what Tim Stewart used to always call you. So I know we're coming to a very crucial time for assessments, and Mary Lou, thank you very much for stepping in and serving our community well, and I urge adoption, and I can't believe your son didn't stay around to support you.
Any other questions or comments? Alderman Carlosi.
Thank you, Your Honor. I know Mary Lou Sanders for quite a few years. I think when she first ran for public office for state senate is when I first met her. That was, oh yes, you don't remember? State senator. Yeah, state senator. So I've known Mary Lou for quite some time. I don't know whether I really should support this or not. I don't know whether she's going to be mad at me for voting yes or would prefer that I vote no. And we're joking, but this is nobody really talks about this job. The Board of Tax Assessment, no one really talks about it. But come March, they're the ones that review all of the people that have filed complaints and want their taxes reviewed, and they go through a lot of work to put that all together. And Mary Lou Sanders, Mrs. Sanders, goes out of her way to be very fair, and she does a lot of work before the meetings to review field cards and everything that is required, and listen to people, and she votes up or down regardless of who the individual is. She doesn't care. She will vote if it's called for, and she'll deny it. And I will tell you this: no one better try to put any pressure on her to vote one way or the other, because that's not going to happen. So, Your Honor, I was informed about this choice last Thursday by your office, Your Honor, and I wholeheartedly support it. Mary Lou, do you really want me to vote yes? Are you sure? Okay. I support this, and I'm very pleased that Mary Lou is coming out of retirement from the board to once again serve again as we prepare for all those 4 nights a week in March meetings that you're going to have. Yeah. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman. Anyone else like to make a comment? Does this require a roll call? No, it's a voice vote. All those in favor of Mary Lou signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, kind of. Okay, well, we're going to swear you in right now. It's official.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you, Mary Lou Sanders, having been appointed to the Office of Assessment Appeals for the City of New Britain, solemnly swear that you will faithfully and honestly perform the duties of the Office of Assessment Appeals for the City of New Britain to the best of your judgment and skill, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Okay, on to resolution number 5, Alderman Smedley.
Your Honor, motion to accept and adopt resolution number 5.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Rosado.
Your Honor, this resolution will appoint Mallory Dupre to the position of Board of Education that has been recently vacated. Am I correct? Yeah. Okay, you're all looking at me like I'm crazy. I thought I skipped one. And I do urge adoption. I rise in support of Mallory, and I just wanted to thank both candidates for all of their information that they did send our way, and all those who came out and also sent support on behalf of both candidates. Ms. Sims, I do respect you 100% as a member of our community and as an educator, and you know that because I've worked with you in the past. I do rise today to support Mallory. I know that she works tirelessly with the youth of our city, as evident through people who stood up and spoke with her. And if you speak to any of the students who I have that are in one of her programs, you get this sense that Mallory is doing the right thing with the students outside of our classroom, and that's definitely what our youth need. Someone once said, "You can't always think about. You have no idea what to think." When the student comes in the door about what they're dealing with at home. And Mallory's a person who takes that into consideration 100%. So Mallory understands the level of diversity and culture that makes us the city of New Britain. And Mallory's been part of the team that traveled to Denver, as you all know, to make us a proud all-American city, where they gave a presentation about what it means to be from New Britain and what it means to be part of our great city. I know that she understands the Board of Education and the mantra that Mrs. Nancy Sarah has for our district about whole child education, and Mallory is a gleaming example of what whole child well-being and education is. So I encourage all of you to rise in support of Mallory, and I will be supporting Mallory tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Any other? Alderman Sanders. Rosado. Sorry, I'm looking at.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to begin by first thanking both candidates for their interest in this position. I know Mallory Dupre and Violet Sims. I grew up with Mallory Dupre, and I went to high school with Violet Sims. We were both gladiators. They are both incredible women with amazing successes. And it's a difficult decision when one has to fill one position with two candidates that are qualified. It's also been a lot more difficult in the last few days because I've received so many emails in support of both candidates. At the same time, I've been at the hospital with my ailing aunt who was just put in hospice today. So it's been very difficult to try to get back to all of you, but I've read all of your emails, and they were wonderfully written, and both candidates also wrote some tremendous emails, and I want to thank both of you for that. There's a lot of things that go on into this decision, but ultimately, in my heart, I had to go with what I'm familiar with, not that I had anything against any one of them. And this isn't about party, because if anybody watches my Facebook post, I don't care about both parties. So it's really strict about, this is really more to do with just who I'm familiar with. I grew up with Mallory. We hung around the same neighborhood. I've seen her growth. I've seen a lot of the challenges she's had to overcome, and some of the similar challenges and obstacles that we both had to face. She was one of those women I could say she was like the only white girl that would be in the block with pure African Americans and Latinos. That's the girl that she was growing up. And I have to say that my friendship with her has developed. I have seen her in how she has handled herself in various ways. And also she was one of the people that went to Denver and to represent the city of New Britain for the All-America City. And I'll tell you that her and I worked together to try to find some chants and to find a song in order for us to present it to all of the people that were there. So we were the loudest people, of course, in the group, which is not saying much, but we are the loudest people in the group. And I'm proud of her because I have been pushing her, and she knows this, for months. You know, you have what it takes to be in public service. And I'd like to see you in public service one day. And today, I'll try to hold my emotion, but I'm very proud if you have the opportunity to be able to serve us on the BOE. And I also am proud of Violet Sims for her interest. I also want to talk to the DTC. A lot of you came today, and I know a lot of them were actual real friends of Violet who've known her for a long time. And then there were some that didn't support her during the primary, but were supporting her today. I like her attitude. When I discussed it with her, she wasn't upset about that. She showed a lot of humility in her response. So I hope that the DTC this year, when they have the opportunity to select candidates for the Board of Ed, that they select her. And so again, I want to thank both candidates and thank everyone who came out today and supported both. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Going around the circle. Alderman Sanchez.
Thank you, Your Honor. To the maker of the resolution, please. To the maker of the resolution. To the sponsor, whomever.
Alderman Salerno. I applied to that.
All right,
Alderman
I
Sanchez.
have questions for you, sir.
Go right ahead.
Are you not going to stand?
I would like to stand, sure.
Like,
Please hold decorum while
do
this
you
is
need to
occurring.
stand? If you don't need to.
It's a pleasure,
Okay.
Alderman Sanchez.
Alderman Sanchez.
Just a few questions for you. Do you believe that the appropriate process was considered in the pursuit of selecting a candidate?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you explain how what that process involved?
In terms of the determination of placing a resolution, I was going to speak to the resolution in due time. I was actually deferring to the other members of the council in terms of my role in that, but in terms of presenting the resolution, yes, the resolution was placed forward for consideration in the agenda.
Can you explain the process? So obviously we received emails from people who were interested last week, as a matter of fact. Can you explain the process?
I'm sorry, emails, I'm not, could you clarify, Alderman?
We received emails from the two individuals who were potential candidates for this.
Yeah, I think the first receiving of the email from Ms. Sims, I would say, was probably, I received it, I can check my mail, I believe Monday.
Okay. Do you understand, why do you think that you received one Monday?
I don't know.
Can you tell me when this resolution was submitted?
I believe it was submitted Friday, I'm going to say. Okay, sometime during Friday. We go over the agenda on a regular basis. I'm really not sure what the mode of questioning is here, but certainly we go and we review the agenda numerous times, Alderman Gintoni and myself, during the course of the week. It's revised, things have changed, moved forward, and that's when it was sent forward to the agenda. I believe everyone should have received it at that point.
Okay. And I appreciate your answer. Did you evaluate all the candidates and believe that there was a fair hearing by this legislative body to identify the most qualified candidate possible that would benefit the Board of Education?
My position is that the opportunity was there for any and all candidates. By the way, just as an aside, I received calls on Monday and Tuesday from 2 or 3 other members of the community who were interested in actually considering being placed here. Obviously, it would have to be Democrats because Democrats would be the replacement of Ms. Greco. And as a Democrat, just as someone who is a Democrat involved, people came to me. I basically told them what I knew about how that process worked. People seek it and they search for it. They decide they want to, they certainly can. One of the things I always advise was certainly any member or candidate who was willing to or interested in serving in an appointment basis would be able to contact the respective council members, however he or she would want to be able to do that. It was my only real effort to counsel anybody else who came to me after the fact, as it were. The resolution had already been in. I just share that in terms of there were a lot of people who may or may not have been aware of any part of the process.
So the resolution went before, you submitted the resolution on Thursday, correct? Is that what you said?
I'm going to tell you that
Last
it was
Thursday?
somewhere on Thursday or Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Okay.
But I mean,
Of last week?
exactly, yeah. When we just referred them in through through the general procedure. Through I talked to members of the mayor's office. We refer that to. It gets referred to the clerk, and then it goes forward into the agenda.
Are there any objections to Mrs. Sims' credentials?
I have no objections to what credentials I am aware of.
Does anybody feel that she's not qualified?
Pardon?
Does anybody feel that she's not qualified?
I doubt that there's anybody who feels she's not qualified.
So why are we rushing this process?
Why are you asking me that question?
Because you submitted the resolution.
Why would you think that it's rushing the process? The process is that you're able to be able to apply the resolution. That could have been provided by any other member of the council at any time in the course prior to this meeting. It's not a rushing of the council. The position has to be filled. It's an appointment process. It's fairly standard operation if historically, and you have been obviously a senior member of this council, know that there have been other appointments throughout the history of this council, and it's been forwarded, and appointments have been made forthwith. Different makeups in terms of whatever council was based on party design. The fact is that we as a body have the responsibility to be able to fill an appointment as soon as possible in order so that the Board of Education can run. I hate to go to the issue of the U.S. Supreme Court, but we've been kind of waiting a very long time to have that one filled, and I certainly would love to have seen that over a period of time. And we're not the U.S. Supreme Court, but we are the Board of Education of the City of New Britain. So consequently, it would seem that we would want to expedite that as quickly as possible.
So it's obviously evident that both are extremely qualified, and I do not take anything away from both potential candidates here. But I was not informed, nor were two other people in this room, that we were going to be filling a seat until that resolution came forward. Nobody communicated that to us. Is that correct?
I don't know who we were communicated with in terms of your representation through the minority leader.
And as a senior member, as you stated clearly, do you not believe that this is a clear departure from previous customs as far as how we've done business in the past?
I'm unaware that it is a unique departure from anything. It's an appointment process. The appointment is spelled out in the charter. The charter says that the council votes on it, and they present however the time frame is to place a resolution in. It's here and it's before this body. I don't know of any other precedent that's been set on that.
So you don't believe that, even though that we were told in the 12th hour that there was no lack of common courtesy, that we were just abiding by standardized rules that we adhere to when these opportunities present themselves?
Well, I'm not sure. I believe, the Democratic Town Committee voted on their endorsement of a member on Thursday.
Yep.
Okay.
And you submitted your resolution?
Either Thursday or Friday.
Okay. So I do believe that both individuals are more than qualified. I do not take, again, anything away from both. There was a due process that was not at all given to the respective minority party, and I think that all members of this council deserve the type of respect that should be given in the events that have led to where we are today. And if you're telling me that last Thursday, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're telling me that the appointment was made last Thursday, correct?
No, the appointment hasn't been made yet.
Well, it obviously has, because it's on the paper, and you're not allowing us to make an amendment, correct? Or are we going to make an amendment?
I'm not involved in not allowing someone to make an amendment or not.
As a point
That's
of
the
order,
procedure.
Alderman Sanchez, you can make an amendment right now if you'd like. It needs the proper votes.
We will get to that point. So I have one last question for you, sir.
Sure.
So you're telling me that you provided the resolution last week with the presumption that this was going to be the name that you would submit?
Yes. I don't see what the problem is in terms of being able to submit a name under a resolution for someone you would believe would be qualified to be a member of the Board of Education based on the requirements that somebody who has to replace a Democrat must be a Democrat, and so
Well,
be replaced,
But I-
whoever that Democrat might be.
And I'm thankful for both emails that were sent to us on behalf of both individuals. Okay.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Hargreaves.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're very welcome.
I just first want to mention that the only requirement to fill the position of Board of Education is residency here in New Britain, if I'm correct. We do have two well-qualified candidates, which I know, and we learned a lot today. But I wouldn't say one is more qualified than others because of a degree or because they do something differently. I take offense to that, actually. I don't have a college degree, so am I not qualified to be here in the council? It's something that I'm hearing here today. I don't have a college degree, so am I not qualified to work in the school district that I do every day? So we want to get that qualifications out. We want to get somebody that's the best candidate, somebody that wants to work for the city, somebody that wants to work for the youth. I had the opportunity of knowing Mallory for, 12 years now, that I started working with Parks and Rec. I see Eric over there. One of my first supervisors, actually. 12 years ago when I was at Parks and Rec. And it was evident then that she had a real passion. Even as a high school student, she always looked out for the part-time employees, making sure that we're doing the right thing, asking how we're doing in school, asking how you're doing in your sports. And then as I got older, went on working with kids as I've always done, we always run into Mallory. As a family intervention liaison in the school district, I work with families and children who's experiencing problems, and we try to find solutions to that problems. And I know one person I can call to, especially for my middle school girls, is Mallory. If there's a problem, I know that we can call Mallory, and then she will have a program for them to go, no matter who it is. I really don't know Ms. Sims here, and I would definitely like to get to know. I think I knew her from CONCAP now that I saw her today, from years ago, because I also was in CONCAP, like Mr. Vargas over here. So I just wanted to just point that out, that the only requirement, one, is to be a city resident, and I do rise to support Mallory Dupre tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other aldermen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Alderman Davis?
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I guess to both candidates, are you sure you want to get involved with local government? I know both of you well. I feel like well enough to know both your pluses and your minuses. And I feel that, the council tonight has the unfortunate task of appointing someone to fill this vacancy. I say it's unfortunate because, again, we have to fill this and fill it tonight, and we're acting in place of the electorate. Typically you get nominated, you run, you petition people, you tell them why you are the best suited candidate, more qualified than the other person, whatever adjective you choose. But since we don't have that luxury tonight, again, the council has the very unfortunate task of selecting one name. So I rise in opposition of this current resolution. I spoke to both candidates earlier, spoke to Ms. Dupre, spoke to Ms. Sims prior to the council meeting convening tonight. As a former board member, someone who didn't have a large body of academic credentials on paper, I came up to speed. I did. But when I first started, I didn't know what the heck a DIRG was, a DRG, a IOP, IEP. I don't even know if I'm saying it right now. So I personally feel, again, given a task, and I feel right now we've been charged and tasked with filling this vacancy, to do everything possible to appoint the most elected, the most qualified candidate. So being as non-partial and unbiased as I can, because I do know both candidates, removing both their pros and cons and trying to blind myself to what I know and just looking at what's before me as far as resumes, credentials, and again, trying to fill this vacancy. That's why I oppose this resolution, and whoever the next Board of Education member is in this room tonight, I know that you're both qualified, probably more qualified than I was way back when. Matter of fact, not probably, I know that. And as it was stated earlier, I feel confident that you both will serve the city in some capacity, not if, it's just a matter of when. So, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Davis. Alderman Carlosi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, we have a very difficult position, a difficult task tonight, and that is to pick one candidate, and we really do have two very interested individuals who have been involved in education in the community and helping our kids. No ifs, ands, and buts about that. But I would like to make an amendment, Your Honor, to the resolution, and I would like to amend the resolution, make a motion to amend the resolution so that the name of the individual would be Violet Jimenez Sims, Democrat, 77 Adams Street in New Britain, obviously, and period, the term from January 25th, 17 to November 14, 17. And I make that in the form of an amendment, Your Honor.
Okay, do I have a second on the amendment?
Second.
Seconded by Alderwoman Black.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any-
So the community has been out tonight, and obviously this is a very important subject, as it should be, because it involves our children, it involves our future, and that is something that is very, very important to the community. You know, we have two individuals. They're both very good. But if you have to only hire one, you look at everything, and if everything's equal in terms of their dedication and their service in the field in which they're looking to get into here on the Board of Education, you think about all these great things. You think about all the involvement of Ms. Dupre in the community and all the things that she has done, the programs that she has headed. You think about Ms. Sims and all the programs that she has done, her service at New Britain High School, her education, which is outstanding. At the end of the day, I believe that something is going to tip, right? There's going to be something that's going to go one way or the other. And here we have a unique opportunity to pick somebody that, in the form of Ms. Sims, who I believe is highly, highly qualified. So if we look at qualifications alone, there is no question in my mind, not taking away anything from Ms. Dupre, who's excellent at what she does. Ms. Sims would be the candidate. And I would hope tonight that everyone has gotten a copy of her resume. I don't want to go through it. I could read it all, but I'm sure you guys don't want me to read it all. I hope that you all have taken a look at it. It's 3 pages long. I'm certainly not going to read it, Your Honor. But it's highly, highly qualified individual. You know, I don't want to go over what everyone has said for an hour plus in public participation, but I strongly encourage that we vote favorable on the amendment, and that we place the name of Ms. Sims for this vacancy that's been created. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. So the motion is on the floor right now, and I'm only accepting comments on the amendment, not on the initial resolution. We're only allowed to comment right now on the amendment as it stands. Does anyone wish to comment on the amendment? Alderman Gianfone.
Thank you, Your Honor. In commenting on the amendment, this is something that I wrestled with for quite a few days. I had pledged my support to Mallory, and then a new candidate emerged, and I did the due diligence of weighing both sides and both options. I've made a decision that I'm going to vote no on the amendment, and here's why. I have not known Mallory Dupre since high school. I have not known her for 12 years. The first time I ever met her was actually in these council chambers, my first time on the council, when we did CDBG funding. And she came in here to talk about the Strive program, and you could see the passion in her eyes. After the meeting, I walked outside into the hallway where she cornered me to again tell me about the benefits of the Strive program and why they needed to be considered for funding. And it was that passion in that just deep-seated desire to see our kids be successful that has stayed with me this whole time. You know, we're not for old friends, we're not anything like that. I am just voting no on this amendment in you know, much like Alderman Hargraves, I stand up here without a degree as well, you know. I'm very successful in life. I have a good job. I'm on this council. And while I agree education is of the utmost importance, I think there's other things that can be tiebreakers. We have two wonderful candidates, and you know, I wish there were two openings. If there was, we'd be home about 4 hours ago. Well, not 4, but 2 hours ago. But because of that, I went to passion, and I went to, you know, passion that I've witnessed, and that's why I'll be voting no on this amendment tonight.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the amendment? I see none. Mr. Clerk?
Your Honor?
Yep.
If we could just, again, clarify that we are voting on the amendment. Right now, we are voting on taking out the name Mallory Dupre and adding the name Violet Sims to the resolution. So we are just voting on the amendment to change the name on the resolution.
So a yes vote will add Ms. Sims' name to the resolution. A no vote will keep the resolution the way that it is. Mr. Clerk?
Alderperson D'Antonio.
No.
Smedley.
No.
Carlozzi.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Collins.
No.
Davis.
Yes.
Hargraves.
No.
Naples.
No.
Pabon.
No.
Polkowski.
No.
Rosado.
No.
Salvio.
No.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Salerno.
No.
5 yes, 10 no, Your Honor.
Okay. Oh, sorry. 5 yes, 10 no. Yes.
So the amendment.
Amendment fails. We're going to go back to the discussion on the resolution as originally submitted with Ms. Dupre's name on it, and I will open the floor back up for comments again on the original resolution. Seeing Alderman Salerno?
No, I'll defer to Mr. Alderman Rosado.
Alderman Salvio, who hasn't spoken once yet.
I really wasn't going to speak on this, but I will. And one of the things that bothered me about this whole discussion tonight, and this includes some of the comments made in public participation, is that we have a process, and it's called the democratic process. And that has no relation to party. It's just a process that we have. All else being irrelevant, when you go to vote based on a decision you have made as an individual to look at the choices that you have and to act on a choice. You're not supposed to go and do what just happened in the national election. If you want to protest, fine. But don't make your protest sound as though what you're saying is denigrating to the other person. Now, some of you were disappointed at the process. On Monday, when we had our caucus of our group, I had not received one email from either candidate. I found out later that that some people had received these emails and that some people had been put forth. I was disturbed at that, and I spoke about that on Monday night. I am disturbed tonight because a number of people came up to speak, and they can say anything they want, but I was disturbed because what it made me feel when I heard one certain thing coming out of their mouths was that they had already been prompted. This is how I felt. I don't know if it's true. They had already been prompted when they finished their remarks to say, I hope that you'll make a fair decision. There were a number of people that said this, and I hope you agree with that, because there's nothing wrong with my hearing. So if you're going to make a thing like that, a comment like that, it already tells me that perhaps you've been primed, not by your own discovery process as to whom you will pick. You've been primed because somebody told you they've got 12 people on the mayor's team. And so you better go up there and tell them that you're not going to be happy and with the process, that you're not going to think it's fair. Well, you know what? That's the way it is, folks. You vote, you make a decision when you vote, and if you don't like it, you can say you don't like it, but that's it. That's our process. And I'm sorry that there are some people that were in the audience and also on this council tonight that feel that somebody was wrong because we were unfair. I'm not unfair. So I don't like to be told that I'm unfair, even if it's in a veiled way. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Alderman. Would any other alderman like to address the resolution? Alderman Collins.
Thank you, Your Honor. I rise in support of this resolution. I do think both candidates for their interests. Just to piggyback a little bit off of Alderman Salvio, you know, the whole point where I did hear it as well, where a lot of people did get up and state, you know, I hope that the process is fair. And I almost started tallying how many times I heard that word, I hope it's fair. My thing is, what I always say is, you know, this city elected the 16 of us, including the mayor up here, to do a job and to make sure that, you know, this city entrusted us to make sure that we make the right decisions and that we're doing it correct and that we are doing it fair. So for that to be said, you know, it's kind of, you know, does also set it to me as well. So I just hope that you do understand that this council and our mayor, you know, we are making decisions based off of what we feel is correct for the city. And, you know, thank you for putting that trust into us. And regardless whether you voted for us or not, this city did elect us. And this is what we're here to do. So again, besides that, I am in favor of this, and I do support the resolution.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other alderman who would like to speak for the first time? Alderman Sanders.
Thank you, Your Honor. Through you, I take this appointment very seriously. I was doing some numbers in my head, and my entire adult life, my father has been on the Board of Education. I think he started when I was about 13 years old, and I watched him, even though I didn't care that much when I was younger, I watched him, how serious he was, you know, in doing that job. There is, and I don't want to use Judy, but, you know, the loss of Judy is a big loss. And what she brought to the table, I don't think anyone in this room can replace. And I, fortunately, don't know either of you. I've never met either of the people, which I'm kind of glad, because this makes it a little easier for me. Because what I did was I looked at what you guys gave me, and that's what my decision was made on. And I've heard some wonderful things. I've received several emails as well. And, you know, there's no doubt in my mind that these candidates both have a passion for this city and would go above and beyond. But when I look at just the credentials, unfortunately, which is all I really have to go on besides other people's words, I cannot support this particular resolution, which is why I maybe should have spoke a little bit before, but I got confused with his amendment. So I supported the amendment, but I cannot support this resolution because I believe what I have seen in front of me, I think, you know, we have two great candidates. We've heard wonderful things. And when you have that to compare, you have to kind of, you have to go extra. You have to go with that education. You have to go with those degrees. And I think those are important. I also want to, just for the record, say that, you know, when it comes to the Board of Ed, I don't think we should have too many teachers and administrators on the board, because that's not something my father did for 32 years. And to Alderman Hargraves, heck, I barely graduated high school, okay? And I didn't go to college. But, you know, Judy Greco, to bring her back into play, was quite an inspiration to me. And if it wasn't for a woman like that, I don't think I'd be sitting here today. So, I don't know if either one of you have the qualities to even, be 50% of what that woman was. So my focus really is just on what was presented to me, what the credentials were, and because of what I've seen, not knowing either one of you, I cannot support this. Thank you.
Alderman Carlosi?
Thank you, Your Honor. There's been some discussion about the process. I know we have some new members of the council, and I think I am probably one of, well, I know Alderwoman Black is a more senior member than I am, but let's talk a little bit about the process. It's been a history of the city, at least for as many years as I know, that when there is a vacancy from an elected position, that the party in which there's been the vacancy created, that party is allowed the opportunity to put forward a name to the council, to bring forward a name to the council. There was a situation about 10 years ago when it came to actually a Board of Education position, when the party in place at the time, which were the Democrats, did not quite allow the Republicans to put forward the Republican Town Committee name. And the Democrats found an alternative name. Now, I was out there reading the newspapers, and I was highly insulted when that happened. That's not how things should be done. Since I've been on the council, I think we have gotten away from that, and we've done a really great job of getting away from that. Let me bring you to a little more current history. When, Your Honor, when you became the mayor of this city, there was a vacancy created on the Board of Education, Republican seat. There were 9 Democrats on the council and 6, Your Honor, in your caucus. The Democrats did not object to the name which was put forward by the minority 6 members and the Republican Town Committee of Stacey Rosado. There was no objection whatsoever. There was a conversation between the two, and Stacey Rosado went in, unanimous decision. Your Honor, we had another opportunity 2 years ago when Alderman Davis vacated the Board of Education position, and again, another Republican seat on the board, and at that time, of course, now there's 12-3. The Democrats are in the minority. And I had a good phone call with Alderman Gentonio, because Alderman Gentonio and I, despite a little tension tonight, have always enjoyed a very good working relationship and a lot of consultation back and forth, a lot of texts, especially when it was just Alderman Gentonio and Alderman Pabon. It was 13-2, which was not very nice at that point, because there were some times when I don't think Alderman Gentonio and Pabon were treated properly. But when the tables were turned, he said to me, "Listen, we're not going to repeat any of that old history." And I said, "Great," because he and I had never done that with one another. And he goes, "What do you think about Miriam Gerasi?" I said, "Excellent candidate." And I co-sponsored that resolution to fill that vacancy. I thought she was the right candidate. We didn't give another name. So there's been a lot of consultation back and forth between the leadership about situations that come up and conversations. We're always looking to do things in a bipartisan manner. We're not going to always agree. And since last summer, we haven't agreed on a number of issues, but that's okay. We have different opinions, but we still get along. This, however, did not happen that way at all. There was absolutely no consultation. On Wednesday night, received the first email, and thank you, Mallory, for sending out the email at 4:16 in the afternoon on Wednesday. Judy's funeral was that morning. I was taken aback. Like, wow, this is quick. I got a phone call from a certain gentleman as part of the administration on Thursday morning. He said, "I need to talk to you about 2 things." And I said, "Well, what are those?" And he said, "Well, we have 2 vacancies." And I said, "I think we only have 1, Board of Ed." He goes, "No, tax assessor." And I said, "Oh, who do you have?" And he said, "Well, we're going to put Mary Lou Sanders. Are you okay?" I said, "Absolutely." And then we have the other one for Board of Ed. At which point I said, whoa, wait a minute. The town committee, Democratic Town Committee, has not had an opportunity to meet. We'd like the opportunity to put forward our name for consideration. oh, well, it doesn't have to go that way. I said, well, we have done it that way. So that was the first sign on Thursday morning that this was going to be a little different, okay? And then, of course, because Wednesday night I'd already gotten the email from Mallory, so I knew this was going to be a little different. And according to the charter, this is a council appointment. Doesn't belong in the hands of anyone else. No one has to, other than the council, really get involved in the process. Well, that wasn't done either this time. That wasn't done either. And I'm going to read an email that I received, a copy of, dated Tuesday, January 24th. Thank you, Marina. Unfortunately, I have not heard from Violet at all requesting to fill this position. You are the first person contacting me about her. This was on Tuesday. This was yesterday. So already there's the first time that's not true. You can most certainly have Ms. Sims reach out to me, but it may be too late, as we have discussed over a week ago a replacement for Ms. Greco. Over a week ago. I don't think we had even had Ms. Greco's wake, never mind her funeral. I'm sorry she didn't contact me sooner to consider her. The proper way to have written to Marina at that time, I'm not involved in the replacement of this position. That's a council decision. Please reach out to the members of the council. This is a council decision. And it disturbs me greatly to have gotten a copy of this email, because that's an abuse of that office. The council is not subordinate to another office in this city. We are our own legislative body. We have the responsibility to do our job. So this is a very sad, sad night. This is very disturbing to have read a copy of this email. This individual had no say, none, in this council, in this replacement of this Board of Education position. And I think it's very sad that this has happened. So politics, whenever we talk about politics, there was never any politics intended. This is not political. This is the Board of Education, for God's sake. This is our children. Politics, absolutely not. It's a process. It's a time-honored process. Bipartisanship has been what I've been on the council for 8 years. And I think I've shown it over and over and over again. And for my resolution tonight to have been denied placement on the agenda is insulting. And that was just a power play. That's all that was. Congratulations, Ms. Mallory. I'm sure you're going to do a great job. But I am highly insulted that this is how this has turned out. And for anyone else to say anything else is the new word of 2017, alternate facts.
Any other Alderman?
I'm voting no.
Alderman
Yes.
Salerno.
May I? Yes, thank you. Through your, I guess what I found most disconcerting is this resolution, placed by me, by the way, was based on the information, the experience, the awareness of the candidate that I was aware of. I want to keep that because the resolution is about Mallory Dupre. So all through this evening, I've heard passion, zest for life, youth, concern, much of it presented about the other candidate. And I don't want to get into that process, since the candidate I was aware of not until Monday did receive notification and emails over the last 48 hours. And I can honestly say, without any deference, my mind was already made up, because I knew that Mallory Dupre had wanted to be here. She wanted to be in the resolution, and she decided she wanted to be on the Board of Education. Credentials are very important, and I commend Ms. Sims for those credentials that she has. There are other variables involved when you make those decisions. They're not strictly based on credentials. A lot of credentials come in to job interviews, and people with great credentials don't necessarily interview well. Now, I can't say that I interviewed Ms. Sims, but nor was I reached beyond that. I probably could have picked up a phone and called at that point in time, but I have other things as well. But I'm sharing this only because I know that Mallory Dupre has the same defining comments as Ms. Sims. I know that because I've known her for 17 years. I know that because I watched her grow and mature and change. So from my perspective, those qualifications are intact. That's why I'm supporting Mallory, not for any other reason, other than she'll do a darn good job on the Board of Education, as I'm sure Ms. Sims would do should she decide that she would like to be on the Board of Education through that process. Again, this is an appointment process. This was spelled out by everyone else here. The thing that bothers me most is there isn't anyone on this council, and this is what it really irritates me. When people go up and try to talk about fairness, we're trying to discuss the issue of whether we care about education. I'm the liaison to the Board of Education. I attend almost all the meetings as a liaison of the Board of Education. Most of the people on this council went through the school system in the city of New Britain. So you're going to tell me that they don't want the best person to be involved on the Board of Education? What they view to be the best person? The audience viewed their candidate to be the best person. There's nothing wrong with that. My children came to this school system right through and are reasonably successful in their lives. Hopefully because of some parenting, but a whole lot because of the school system. And I am tired of hearing the negative aspects of the school system. That's what gets us in trouble all the time. We don't have a blue ribbon committee just for show. It's not just about a political process. It's about trying to improve the relationship with the Board of Education, with the City of New Britain, and so on. And I'm going on a tangent only because everyone else has. Everyone else has determined and criticized when the issue is really about Ms. Sims and Ms. Dupre. That's what this evening was supposed to be about. I am not going to get into a discussion or a match with any member colleagues here in the council about whether or not I was improprietous or someone else was improprietous about the process. The process is what it is in the political process. One can defer, one can not defer, one can challenge, one can go forward, one can primary in their own party, one can get defeated by their own, not get the endorsement from their own party, and decide they themselves would like to be able to get another shot at it. Gosh knows I know what that's like as a Democrat. So my position is the position needs to be replaced by a Democrat. 3 other Democrats called me, or someone on their behalf called me over the last 3 days. Oh, I'm interested. I'd like to be on the Board of Education. Their names will remain anonymous. And I said, well, the process initiates with, well, your desire to be. Second, contacting people, doing the kind of grassroots organization that Democrats are historically so really good at doing. Then do it. That's how it's supposed to be done. And there was an organizational skill level here. You brought people in. But there was someone else who was a candidate who was at least equal to some and maybe better to others. Mallory Dupre is a native of the city of New Britain. Madame Dupre runs a very successful program within the YWCA in this community, which is an institution in this community. They don't just hire people at the YWCA if they don't have some qualifications to do their job. We've heard all the positive things about children. We're here for children. And that really, really is wrong to assume that the decision was made. It doesn't mean you have to agree with the decision. It doesn't mean that I have to agree with your decision. We all came to this community, we all came to this meeting because we believe our candidate was the best candidate for the position. There's nothing else. And by the way, if Mr. Dupre doesn't do a good job, I'll be the first one to call her on it. As I'm sure other members of the community will. And I hope we see some of you at the next Board of Education meetings. So, Your Honor, I've taken more than my 5 minutes, as usual. Mr. Cheney didn't ring the bell on me. And I just want to say I am here to support this resolution. I encourage my colleagues to support, to show the kind of unanimity that we have, because the resolution is right now about Mr. Dupre.
Thank you. Alderman Hargreaves?
Very quickly, thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to say that the 15 members here in the council are in a unique situation. Normally in November, you go and cast your ballot for your candidate you want in your own privacy. However you want to cast it, nobody's looking over your shoulder, nobody knows who you're voting for. And you're able to do that. But we're in a unique situation where we're in a public eye. But I just want to remind everybody that this November, all 15 seats on the council, 5 seats on the Board of Education, as well as the mayor and the town collector, will be up for re-election. So make sure that if you want to run, you can run. And if you want to vote, make sure you get out to those polls in November and vote for the candidate that you want. Thank you.
Alderman Jean, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just wanted to talk about process for a minute, since Alderman Carlozzi wanted to bring that up. Process, the process as defined for filling a vacancy is that the council does it. To the earlier comment, there does not need to be a hearing. I'll direct a quick question to Corporation Counsel Pizarro. Is it within the mayor's powers to make a recommendation of a possible vacancy?
The charter, as you pointed out, says that the common council shall by majority vote fill any vacancy. There's nothing that prohibits the mayor from being involved. There's nothing that prohibits the mayor from advocating. There's nothing that prohibits the mayor from making recommendations. It's really no different than any other provision in the charter with respect to the council. For example, the council is tasked with the authority to enact ordinances for the government of the city. I think it would be foolish to think that you can have a chief executive who wouldn't be involved in setting policy and dictating direction when it comes to ordinances. The council has the authority to enact zoning regulations or make zoning decisions. There's nothing in the charter or the ordinances that say that the mayor needs to be involved or, opine one way or the other in that. And yet that is often the case, and that's, I think, good policy. So, there's nothing that prohibits the mayor from being involved. In fact, the mayor would have the authority to veto, any resolution by the council. So to the extent that you're asking about the mayor, the propriety of the mayor being involved, I think it's kind of counterintuitive to say that the mayor would have the authority to veto a resolution if she didn't agree with the nominee, and yet say that she couldn't be involved in the process at all. So, the answer to your question is there's nothing in there that says that.
So thank you, Attorney Pizarro. The other thing I'd like to add is the way Ms. Dupre's name first came up was because she reached out to the mayor's office and expressed interest and was then connected with council leadership to say, hey, we have someone who's interested. It wasn't, hey, put her on the Board of Ed. It was, hey, there's someone who's interested. To the question earlier about procedure and adding items to the agenda and finding out at the 12th hour, our agendas are set and distributed on Fridays. Until the agenda is distributed, other than Alderman Salerno and I, no one in this room knows what's on them. That's our process. That has always been our process. So to sit here and tell me that I didn't give you a heads up ahead of time or anything like that, I think is a bit false. And if we want to play that card, let's flip it around, because the first time I found out about the other resolution was also when I looked at the agenda. So you want to talk about common courtesy. Maybe I should have given common courtesy and called you guys first, and for that I apologize. But, I wouldn't throw a stone if that stone's going to fly right back at you. So that's all I have to say on this matter.
Alderwoman Black?
I just want to say, both candidates, to me, if there was 2 openings, both of them qualified. I'm not disputing the qualification. I'm disputing, I think it was a little rush. Other times we had vacancies, at least wait 2 weeks or a week or something. Don't just go right after. That's my only problem. You could say it's a process or whatever, but long as I've been on this council, we always, we didn't go right like the next day or whatever. And that's my only problem. I have nothing against either one of the candidates. They both are qualified. And like everyone says, come November, you want to run for Board of Ed, mayor, whatever, it's open. It's game time. I just have the a problem with the quickness to fill this position. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Rosado. Alderman Pabon, he hasn't
I got
spoke yet.
just a quick question. I don't know if it's to Alderman Danny Solano. They put in a resolution with Mallory's name on here. So we got two people running. How come they couldn't have put both names on here, then left it up to the council to vote? That would have been.
Go ahead.
I can take that. So two resolutions were submitted, and Attorney Pizarro, I'm going to actually ask you to redirect that to him, because we had a conversation about that before this meeting, about why we couldn't have two resolutions and two names.
The question, as I understood it, Alderman, and I don't know that this is exactly what Alderman Pabon is asking, but the question that I was asked earlier is, why couldn't we have another resolution with a different name on it tonight? What you'd be doing, and I think that might be something different than what you're asking, Alderman Pabon, but just for point of clarification, so that for everybody's edification here, that what I said was, if you do that, you're in effect just trying to amend one of the resolutions. The two would be incongruous, they'd be incompatible. And what you'd be doing is, by doing that, you'd be denying the other member's right to have his resolution presented, because if one resolution, a substitute resolution in this instance, were voted on in the affirmative, then it would negate the second resolution. So you'd be depriving that member of the opportunity to put forth that resolution. The proper way to do it is just what the council did tonight, which is you have a member who is making a motion, making a resolution, sponsoring a resolution, and you have another member who thinks that the substance of that resolution should be something different, so you make a motion to amend the substance of that resolution. That's the process. That's proper parliamentary procedure. That's how it played out tonight, and the amendment was defeated. So that's, by way of clarification, Alderman Giantonio, with respect to what you were asking me earlier. Alderman Pabon is shaking his head, so I think he has a different question.
No, what I'm saying is, we got Resolution 5. Should have just put both names on the same resolution. Couldn't have done that?
That resolution wouldn't be very clear, Alderman, I think, if you had both names. I don't know how you'd vote. You know, the clerk would probably have a hard time logging that vote.
Okay, thank you.
You couldn't vote on the affirmative in that instance, so.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to, again, to get away from procedure and shots thrown. And listen, we've only had the council for about, over a year and a half. And since 1969 to 2015, the Democrats had this council. So God only knows whatever they've done in all those years that was not considered fair. But with that being said, I think one of the things that I just want to say with Mallory, you have a lot of experience with the after-school program, which is one of the things I was excited about. I worked with after-school program at the high school, 3 years working with the Man Up and the J Crew, and I see some of our Board of Education members that are there, and I just hope that whatever Mallory brings from her expertise to the after-school program is going to be an asset to our Board of Education so that we can even be greater at how our after-school programs work in the city of New Bern. Thank you.
Thank you. Are we ready? Okay, this is a voice vote unless otherwise requested, so.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Do I have 3 members to rise? Okay, Mr. Clerk, we will call the roll. And for a point of reference, again, I just want to say thank you that the mayor's office absolutely has the right to recommend somebody. And just as a point of clarification, that Ms. Sims, although she did leave this evening, did not reach out to me. Mr. Clerk.
Alderpersons Giantonio.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Carlozzi.
No.
Black.
No.
Collins.
Yes.
Davis.
No.
Hargraves.
Yes.
Naples.
Yes.
Pabon.
Yes.
Polkowski.
Yes.
Rosado.
Yes.
Salvio.
Yes.
Sanchez.
No.
Sanders.
No.
Salerno.
Yes.
10 yes, 5 no, Your Honor.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Craig. If you could approach the podium. council please come to order?
Please raise your right hand. You, Mallory Dupree, having been appointed to the office of school board for the city of New Britain, solemnly swear that you will faithfully and honestly perform the duties of the office of school board for the city of New Britain to the best of your judgment and skill, so help you God.
I do.
Congratulations.
Motion to adjourn was made by Alderman Rosado, seconded by Alderman Collins. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We're adjourned. The time is 10:03 PM. Thank you very much.